or what you're being shown and decides if it's true or not. When you're in a hypnotic state, that part of your mind kind of goes away so that you're more open to suggestion. And the suggestions that are being given in a hypnosis show are just funny, silly, irrational ones because that's what is funny on stage. But the beauty of the hypnotic state is that, first of all, you're not going to accept a suggestion that's to your own detriment. Nobody's going to say, "Hey, Kenny, go out and murder somebody." You won't accept that because there's a part of you that will protect you from from obviously harmful suggestions. But let's say you bite your nails, or let's say you're afraid of beavers, or whatever it happens to be. Both of those kinds of things, whether it's a fear, a phobia, or a habit, if you're in a hypnotic state and we say, when you wake up, you're no longer.
So your end result of what you want.
Yeah. Yeah. So it takes courage to stop and sit. And that's a big part of this is that, and as we go into the other principles, you'll see that um, it's a courageous act
Mm-hmm.
to stop and allow yourself to just be with the moment. Because the first thing you're going to feel if you've got an unsatisfied desire and you've been trying to achieve it, um, and you're feeling, incapable, or you're feeling frustrated, and those feelings they're a sensation in your body, and you really feel it, right? And if all of a sudden you say, okay, I'm going to let go of having to achieve this thing, well, the first thing you're going to feel is irritation, frustration, defeat. It's not like you're going to let it go and now you're happy. You're going to let it go physically. Am I paying attention to the details of the things happening around me? And that's a vehicle for the spiritual. It's like your spirituality will improve, when you stop being sloppy, make your bed in the morning.
Right.
Don't just leave your life in disarray and expect that God is going to come along and, make it better for you.
Right. And this is kind of a feng shui. Welcome to the Dr. Smiley Show. And I will tell you, I am so excited about Steve Taubman being on the show that I was almost going to have my hair go up a little bit. He is excited, as you can see. How are you doing, Steve?
Oh, I'm so thrilled to be here. Thanks so much, Ken.
So we've been friends and run into each other at so many events over the years. And here we are. This is you being picked out of all the people I've met at all these events as someone that I really honor and admire for the positivity you bring to not just the events, but to the people in your life. So
Thank
thank you
you.
for all you do positively.
Back
Um,
at you.
I understand that we're going to see a little bit of entertainment on top of it. And so we're doing a toast to entertainment.
Yeah, well, that's definitely a part of who I am and what I do. So I'm sure we're going to get into some details about that. But for me, entertainment is part of the teaching and inspiring process.
It is a teacher that knows everything but doesn't entertain the kids is probably going to lose some engagement, if not get them completely detached.
And that's true of a speaker or anybody who's trying to have any kind of influence in anybody's life. It's like if you can't keep their attention, it's not worth doing it.
Yeah, I'm looking at what I studied during my doctorate. It's the dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins that are kicking when you're entertained, and so there's a lot more glue to the information. And you're
It's nice. Yeah, it's nice to hear the science behind it. The idea that there's actually biochemical changes happening. I mean, I talk about it sometimes from a scientific and sometimes from more of a presence standpoint. Like, how do we become more present
yes.
so that every part of us is engaged in whatever it is that we're seeing and hearing and learning. Uh,
Yeah, I
so
was I was just thinking about so many things about when you get on stage or when a Tony Robbins type person gets on stage, they're jumping, they're pumping, they're getting themselves mentally ready to deliver the most energy possible to receive the most energy back. And
absolutely,
and
yeah,
I
that's
I've seen you perform, and it is a performance. That's the thing. When you have the content, it is orchestrated with a performance, and that's the true talent of a speaker that is able to command a high keynote price, but is also able to have people say that was the best presentation, or I really got so much out of it.
all right. All right.
Well,
That's nice.
um, Kenny and I just got back from an amazing event in Nashville, and we just talked about how cool Nashville was. And you're going to be part of the next authorathon because you have three books. I thought you only had two, and I am so excited to actually get the third one later because that's your newest one, right?
Yeah, that is my newest.
Okay, well, Kenny, come on in. Steve has been working for days and hours getting ready for this big. So,
Hey,
uh,
Kenny.
first of all,
Kenny, you're an author.
Yes.
How cool is that? Um, I love that, well, first of all, just that the world has evolved in such a way that people don't dismiss kids, just because they're kids, that they don't have anything valuable to say. And I honor you, Ken, for encouraging Kenny, and I honor you, Kenny, for taking the challenge and getting your voice out there. And I'm sure it's helping a lot of people.
so you can be here as long as you want, but Steve actually requested you to be here for a couple reasons. One, he loves kids, he loves audiences, and he's an entertainer. So he has a couple things he wants to do in the show that I think will entertain you, and you're going to get some value out of it too. But Steve, before we cut into your magic, I wanted to
Yeah,
have him hear who you are, where you're born, and everything, and
sure.
then and then I guess even before that, why don't he just get this out of his system so that he can hear better? You ready for this?
Go for it.
Why don't you not just share this yet? Why don't you share what happened in Nashville, why that was important, and why he might want to go to it next year?
Yeah.
A lot of great people.
Voice isn't coming through.
A little louder, Kenny.
Okay. So, um, there was a lot of networking and a lot of nice people there. I got a lot of books that I traded with people. I sold books. I pitched to a children's book, like someone who did,
Distributor.
yeah, distributor. And the food was amazing. The hotel was amazing.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of stuff to do there.
That
And
sounds great. Wow. I wish I was there.
well, you're going to be next year. I mean,
Okay.
it's the sixth annual one. It's called the Authored Indie TOC production event. So TOC.
Always in Nashville. Is Nashville the home
No,
of?
they've been to two Nashville, and then one I think was Philadelphia, one was San Diego. So I don't know if Nashville's going to be next time, but they certainly love Nashville because the five times they've been to Nashville twice.
Fabulous. Yeah,
You
that's
want to
great.
show one of the books you received?
Okay, so this book I think is going to be a bestseller
Bring it in.
along with some
Okay.
other books, but I wanted to show this book because I imagined reading this inside of like first grade.
Look at that.
Oh, awesome. That's
Now,
great.
one thing I want to say about the authors there is they were very generous with giving their book to the other authors because of several reasons. The author-thon mentality of if I have other leaders and
Yeah.
readers share this, it's a marketing system. And
Yeah, it's smart.
we learned
And
some.
it's also just the mindset of abundance. It's like, oh, I've got these books and I better get some money for them versus, this is my wisdom. I'm going to share it with the world. And I know that that comes back tenfold.
And by the way, that's true of this exact conversation. You did not allow me to purchase your book. You said I'd like to give you this as a gift, and I saw you at six events. And when Bulletproof came out, you gave me that one as well. So thank you. And I think
Absolutely.
I traded a book because I wanted you to know who I was as well.
That's right. That's right.
All right. Well, Steve, talk about where you were born and what your childhood was like, and maybe something in your childhood that caused you to be who you are today.
Yeah, sure. So I was born in Waynesboro, Pennsylvania, probably not that far from where you guys are. You're in Maryland, aren't you?
Right, that's right.
Yeah, so I was born in Waynesboro because my dad was stationed there in the Army. But we weren't from Pennsylvania. It just so happened that, that's where I was born. And then when he was dismissed from the Army, we went to back to Brooklyn. And so I was in Brooklyn, New York for the first 3 years of my life. And then a couple of years out into Queens. We gradually made our way out to Long Island. And when I was five and a half, we moved out to where I grew up, which was Massapequa, a very well-known town with lots of famous people who have come from there.
Do
And,
tell.
oh, well, let's see. Jerry Seinfeld is from Massapequa. I've got a good Jerry Seinfeld story for you if you want.
I
And
will definitely want that
see,
later.
Alec Baldwin is from Massapequa and all the Baldwin boys. And let's see, Brian Setzer from the Brian Setzer Orchestra and the Stray Cats.
Yeah.
Um, gosh, there's so many. I can't
Well,
think of them
I'm
all.
gonna look it up. That's pretty good information. And we talked
Yeah.
about the Parthenon in Nashville, and you hadn't known that. So we're just getting all gleaning all kinds of information back and forth. I do have
Yeah.
a question. My dad was in the army, and he
Uh,
was dismissed as well. What does that mean, dismissed in your case or in your dad's case?
it was the first word that popped in my mind. He was, he was discharged, honorably discharged at the end
Right.
of his his term.
Well, and same with my dad. He didn't make the colonel's list, and so that was the end of his career.
That's the end of it. Yeah, I don't
And
think he was meaning to be a career soldier anyway, so it's okay.
yes, and so you weren't inspired by your dad to say, "Let me get in the Marines and be a SEAL."
No, that never happened.
Kenny's following suit that way too. Kenny, you
Yeah.
wait to be a. He says, "I wouldn't mind going in the army, but I just don't want to go into battle. I don't want to go in the woods and stuff." That's all Kenny's like. He's not really that crazy about that part.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm with you on that. I'm a
All right,
I'm a
so
peace lover.
so what in your childhood caused you or inspired you or had that a kind of impact that you became a speaker, entertainer, and an author?
I was the stuff that I was drawn to was different from a lot of kids. So I wasn't like a big sports fan. I wasn't like my heroes were not sports figures. Uh, the three heroes that I remember uh, were number one was Don Quixote from Man of La Mancha, which was a play, a musical based on the book Don Quixote. So it's
Yeah,
a story of this mad old man who thinks he's a knight, and it's a beautiful story, and it's really it's about how seeing the world through a certain set of eyes transforms the world, helps others become who they can be. And so this character was walking the earth feeling, being very chivalrous, very, loving and respectful of all people, regardless of their station in life, and it helped to elevate them.
I love
So,
this because I haven't read that book in forever. This is a
uh,
good summer reading book to recommend.
Oh God, yeah. Well, Don Quixote itself it's a dense read, but even if you were to just read the Man of La Mancha, which is like it's a script basically,
Right.
so you follow through it. But I did it when I was 13 years old. So Kenny, what are you like 10, 11?
He's 12.
12.
He
Are you 12 now? Okay, because I saw 10 on that thing behind me. That's why
Oh
I
yeah,
asked.
that's 2 years ago, and
Okay.
we
So
felt
yeah, so right around like when I turned 13, my mother was very interested in musicals, for Broadway musicals, and she brought home the album Man of La Mancha, and the music is just fabulous. It's all very memorable stuff. And like the song The Impossible Dream comes from Man of La Mancha.
right.
So I used to listen to that, and then for my 14th birthday, oh, and then I got the book, it was like those Penguin paperback book of the script of Man of La Mancha, and I memorized it.
Did you?
And yeah, and I had friends at school who also memorized it. And we used to like do little scenes from it. Um,
Wow.
and so when I turned 14, my father brought me to the Broadway show, and I got to see Man of La Mancha live, and got to meet some of the actors afterwards, and it was a real life-changing experience, very powerful for me. And
Had I known all this, Steve, I would have had you sing "The Impossible Dream" as our opening song for the.
oh, I know I'll have to make it a closing song then. To dream the impossible.
That was an epic song.
Yeah, yeah, it's a great one. It's been re-recorded by so many different people.
Yes, yes. Okay, so that's 14. So you have the bug at this point that performing is a place that you may want to entertain or that you're
Yeah.
aspiring to be. Is that correct?
Yeah, so from there, shortly thereafter, when I was, I think, 15 or 16, on my mother's urging, I ended up doing some community theater. And I was, in the chorus and playing small roles in some community theater productions. Interesting. One of the directors we had back then, I was on in Massapequa, was Brian Dennehy, who later went on to become a pretty big movie star.
Huge.
At the time, he was just, I've got like a picture of him in my living room. So it's pretty cool. Years later, I got to meet him when he was a big movie star, and I got to tour him around Williamsburg, Massachusetts, Williamstown, Massachusetts, for one of the movie kind of festivals. It was like they used to do the Williamstown Film Festival, and got to meet a lot of really big people there as well.
I want to go back in time and be there with you. Brian Dennehy is awesome. You know his discography.
Awesome.
I mean, he's got hundreds of movies. I would say.
Yeah, yeah. It was shortly after my tenure with him in Massapequa that he went out to Hollywood and did Cocoon and did Foul Play and Seems Like Old Times and all those other ones. And then what was that big one? Bestseller. He
Yeah, I
did
mean,
some.
he's kind of in the realm of a Kevin Bacon type of degree of separation. he has
That's
been,
right.
he's been in so many movies with so many different character roles, and because he was also a B-roll actor, he took all kinds of really wacky parts as well.
Absolutely, yeah. And he was a brilliant guy and a real kind of bull of a guy. I got to drive him around at the Williamstown Film Festival and hang out with him, which was really lovely.
I bet. All right, so keep going. Tell us more.
So I was definitely bitten by the theater bug. I ended up spending a year and a half doing children's theater. I was working in a troupe of teenagers. I was, I think, 17 and then 18, that block of time, where we used to do it was a troupe of I think seven of us, and we would rehearse a play, and then we would go out and we would do it at schools, and we would do it at summer camps and out at parks and things like that for a year and a half, and that kind of somewhat built my theater chops. So I was coming from that, but I was also simultaneously I was a good student. I was interested in science, so I was kind of on the pre-med track.
What was the science reason? What was the bug for why you like science so much?
I don't know. I think it was just, it made logical sense, and there was a lot to learn, and I had good teachers in school who I was interested in, what they had to say. So that all helped.
All right, well, I'm a science bug person too, and Kenny learned the periodic table during the pandemic when he was only 6.
No way. Wow.
You want to do a couple chemicals just to show off a little bit?
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Okay, so hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon, sodium, magnesium, aluminum, silicon, phosphorus,
This is
You're
insane. How many are there?
118. Yeah.
I thought in my brain I was thinking 180, but 118.
and
And at one point you memorized all 118 of them?
he knew 60 of them. He knew half of them cold.
That's really
And
cool.
he doesn't like those middle ones that are kind of crazy, but he knows all the important ones and what the symbols are and why they're used in the world. As a chemistry teacher, I just wanted to know that the world is matter, and the more you understand how matter works, the more you understand how energy works with matter. And so it was.
Exactly, yeah. And because, it's all based on how many electrons and how many protons and whatnot, and and all of that breaks down to energy.
And this exploration was deeper than I had done actually in science in my science classes. So I learned about chemicals too, and he actually knows them cold better than I do. I mean, he's really fluid with it. But the one I love the most in the chemistry is the Mendelevium, because that's Mendeleev who created the periodic table, and he was so far ahead of his time that chemicals had not even been discovered yet. So
That's interesting.
he did the charts with where they would be, and he says when we find these future chemicals they will go here. And so people would find a future chemical in the 50s or 40s or whatever and say, I
Right.
found number 48. And he'd say, what are the properties? And they'd say, and he goes, no, that's number 62. And they go, he said, you haven't even seen this chemical, how could you know where it goes? And he was always right. He was 100% right.
So
So
what years did he live?
he was way back.
Yeah.
Caught off guard there, but I will say that his mom passed in getting him to a good university because he was so gifted in Russia that he was turned down for one university, and she died shortly after getting him to, I think it was St. Petersburg, where a chemist took him upon. And I'm thinking these are late 1800s is my guess.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
Well, cool.
yeah. Shout out to Mendeleev. You're
Yeah.
here with us now. All right.
Yeah.
So Kenny is going to probably he's writing a big book, his biggest book. He's done 14. He's taken a break for at least a year. He's got two people that are doing children's books with him, and he's writing a book that's how many words?
For 100,000.
100,000. He's already written two of the words. So I mean, he's on his. No, he wrote 750 words, and I read it, and it's actually really well thought out. He wrote that on a plane right here, so he's going to chunk away. And are you planning to get this done for the summer or
No,
by Christmas? By
and then
longer?
Christmas.
Then it'll take longer than Christmas. We're not going to see you for about 3 years.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you about my writing, because I've written a few books. I've got the three books here. Then I've also written other ones that are in audiobook form, like Procrastination Annihilation
I love
was
that.
another thing that was really fun.
I guess you have
Uh,
a lot of people that get to that later.
we could talk about all that, but
No, I mean,
I'll
but people want to buy that book procrastination
Oh,
annihilation.
oh, you get around to it. Yeah, a lot more people would have bought it, but they didn't get around to it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's
It's
like
the club I've
when you
always
pick a
wanted to be part
target.
of. It's the club I've always wanted to be part of, you know.
Exactly. That's what it's like. You're just like you're choosing an audience based on the fact that they're very unlikely to buy the thing that you're trying to sell them.
You know what's so cool about the show is I'm learning so much, and for my son to say, I thought he was going to knock out like thousands of words a day, and he was going to be done like in September. He's like, you won't see me for 3 years. Like I now know where he's going to be for the next 3 years. So thank you,
Well, that's good. At least, he's not out,
2 years.
No, like
doing
seriously.
nefarious things.
So he did say seriously. So besides the mac and cheese and the fact he's going to be bigger and he's going to have a book, yeah, we're glad to see you here before you take off.
Are you a fan of magic?
Yeah, I like fantasies.
Magic.
I know
Okay.
magic.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So he is ready to be wowed.
I'll just do a couple things. The reason I think this is so relevant is that when I do magic, and I put on shows, but I also do a bit of magic in the context of speaking on stage, because again, like we were talking about before we started on air, that you need to create a state of receptivity, people being receptive to what you have to say. And if you're wowing them, if you're like creating astonishment, astonishment is like a scalpel that goes right through people's attention and opens them up and creates a gap. Because if you think about it, we're in our heads so much. We're thinking, 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 and then thinking about thinking, and it ends up creating a filter between us and the world around us. We're just walking around inside our own thoughts. But the people who really excel in life, are people who are able to be very present, be in the moment, not stuck in their heads, but able to really observe and with curiosity and openness and wonder. And so magic helps to induce a state of wonder and a state of astonishment, which goes beyond the moment of the magic. It's something that you feel like, you can measure the difference. We were talking about the science of it. You can measure the difference in somebody's state if you give them an opportunity to experience awe, wonder, astonishment. Um, those kinds of feelings are very powerful in transforming us. So just a couple of things. So this is kind of a fun thing using a scarf, and I should keep it in the shot, because if I don't put it in the shot, you're going to say, well, I looked away. But if I go like that, it does disappear, which is kind of weird.
And he is
It's
basically impressed.
it's still here. It's just the illusion of invisibility. Because if you want to see it again, you just go like that, and then you could pull it right back out to its original size.
Not too shabby.
It's like,
But I'm thinking about where it went.
yeah. And that's interesting too, because there's different ways that people react or respond to magic. The first way, as most people, especially people who are by nature curious and, they'll want to figure it out. My job when I'm doing like a magic show is to get you past that. Even though, you're going to have that inclination, if I could do enough, it's almost like I'm hammering away at your brain. And
Mhm.
eventually you're like, I give up. Stand up for this one. I just so
I think I know how he did it.
Well,
I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say
okay.
anything.
All right,
I
here we go.
So
can't.
Watch,
this is
watch,
um,
watch.
this is what I call an invisible coin. So if you just rub it a little bit like that, it becomes visible. And then if you blow on it, it disappears and it goes right there.
He's enjoying this.
I'll show you one more, and then we're going to move on and talk
And we're
about
going to
some
move
other
back in the
stuff.
show, but he made these for
Uh,
you.
but here's one of my favorite things. And Kenny, when I started doing magic, what really drew me in were tricks that used simple props. Because if you see a magic show on stage, they've got the big boxes and the assistant, and they go in, and then she's a tiger or whatever. And then there's that famous trick with the metal rings, and they like link them together, and then they pull them apart, and it's like solid through solid. And it's a great trick, but if you don't have your own linking rings, you're a little suspicious about the prop. So I thought, what if I could do the same thing but using just like plain old rubber bands? And so I'm going to try to keep this in the frame to show you. Oh, I broke that one. I got to get another rubber band.
It's it's worth it. It's worth it for you to get
You
another
want me
rubber.
to go grab a rubber band? Okay,
We
talk
will.
among yourselves.
Yeah. So
Perfect.
how about this weather we've been having
Okay,
lately?
wait.
Let's pray that these rubber bands stay intact.
Well, what I was going to say is, I hope you brought two in case it happens again because we don't have enough
Okay, you
material.
got two and then a third, so hopefully
Oh,
that it
so we're
works.
in good shape now.
So if I put one rubber band on this hand and the other one on this hand, but I put one behind the other one,
Yeah,
so
you would think there's just no
follow me?
way. Yep.
So one of them's behind the other one. And so there's no way for me to get them apart unless I rub them against each other and pull them apart. So I'll show you again. I put one rubber band behind the other one, so I can't get them apart. I can't go this way or this way. I can't go this way or this way. It's not a puzzle. It's not an optical illusion. The only way to get them out is to melt them apart.
He loves it.
That's a fun one. And a
That is.
lot of people say if you get them to unlink, can you also get them to link? So if you push on one of them,
Oh.
it links right through the other one. And then the only way to get that out of there is to break the rubber band. But if you blow on it, it heals.
Come on, that deserves some applause.
The last one, because you're not supposed to be able to do one link on one link. You're supposed to do two links on like two
Okay,
links.
I don't. I think this is probably impolite to do this to you, Steve, on the air while we're live. But I'm going to say the way he did this trick is he studied the periodic table extensively, so he could have the chemicals have a reaction that would cause them to expand and reverse. So thank you, Steve, for.
Yeah, you've got to have a little beryllium on the outside of the rubber band. Beryllium on one and argon on the other. And it's the fact that they're inert that.
Well, what
All
do you,
right.
pretty good. All right. Well, I'm going to get
Cool.
back to the show. He was so excited to hear that you were going to be home. That you could.
Yeah, I'm super psyched. I'm very pleased to meet you, Kenny, and I wish you continued success and that you stay motivated and inspired to find ways of sharing your truth with others.
Well, because you're at the beginning of his journey of this 2 year writing process, don't be
Yeah,
surprised if he doesn't bring the magician into the character
there
for
you
you.
go. I'll be
You
watching for that.
you say thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So long, Kenny.
What did
Or
you
you
like?
can stay around if you
You
want.
Yeah, I
enjoyed it?
did.
Yeah. Well, I'll share this with you. This is interesting. He's 12, and you can imagine he hangs with adults a lot because he's written books. He's been to events
Yeah,
with.
yeah.
This was a shift for him in Nashville. He was always like bombarded with, "Oh my gosh, you're so amazing! How'd you do it?" And it was
I was
all
the
about. He was the clicker who was all about him, right? All about him. Well, this time he actually engaged. I said, "Hey, it can always be about you, but it gets boring. Why don't you ask the reverse question? Like, tell me about your book." And I started seeing authors be with him for like 30 minutes or 40 minutes. And I said,
Wow.
wow, he's carrying conversations now. This is a
That's
completely.
a great learning. That's a great, great thing to be aware of. And, as a magician, look at me, I'm doing this thing and I'm the one who gets the applause. But when I started doing hypnosis shows and I hypnotize people, Kenny, and have them do crazy things. But when they do and the audience laughs and applauds, they're laughing and applauding the people, the volunteers, their friends on stage.
Yes.
And my job is to go like this instead of like this, ta-da, look what I did. It's like, look what they did.
Yeah.
And so it's this practice of shifting the appreciation over to others that, lets the other people shine. It makes you into a better person, I think. So you're not as self-centered. And in the long run, it's better for everybody because, as you said, you have longer conversations. People sense that you're interested. It's better and more important to be interested than interesting.
Well, as a concluding remark for Kenny to leave with I think a gold gem or a gold nugget.
Hmm.
He doesn't know this about his dad, but
Hmm.
I won a belly dancing contest under the hypnosis of one of the hypnotists, and
Yeah, there you go. And I
it was
and
effortless.
there's
It was effortless
that
for me.
wouldn't have happened had you not been. You said now you've been made to shine. We now know about a talent that nobody knew you had.
Exactly, and I'm not much of a dancer, but apparently I was quite gifted in that moment. So, would you share with him, as because he doesn't know, he knows about hypnosis from a standpoint of what the word means, but can you tell him how hypnosis creates a different performance or how it would benefit him?
Yeah, sure. So hypnosis is shifting into a different state of consciousness. Like when I say a state of consciousness, when you're asleep, that's one state. When you're awake, it's another state, right? When you're daydreaming, that's a third state. There's just different
Right.
states that we go into in and out of all day long. And hypnosis helps to bring people into a particular state of mind where when they're in that state of mind, um, it removes what's called the critical faculty. So the critical faculty is like the part of you that if I say, "Hey, Kenny, you're pregnant," you'd say, "Well, no, I'm not. I'm a boy. I'm not capable of that. That's not possible." Because that's the critical faculty. It's part of your brain that evaluates what you're being told or what you're being shown and decides if it's true or not. When you're in a hypnotic state, that part of your mind kind of goes away so that you're more open to suggestion. And the suggestions that are being given in a hypnosis show are just funny, silly, irrational ones because that's what is funny on stage. But the beauty of the hypnotic state is that, first of all, you're not going to accept a suggestion that's to your own detriment. Nobody's going to say, "Hey, Kenny, go out and, murder somebody." You won't accept that because there's a part of you that will protect you from, from obviously harmful suggestions. But let's say you bite your nails, or let's say you're afraid of beavers, or whatever it happens to be. Both of those kinds of things, whether it's a fear, a phobia, or a habit, if you're in a hypnotic state and we say, when you wake up, you're no longer afraid of beavers and, you have no compulsion to bite your fingernails. When you wake up, then that's what happens. You don't have that issue anymore because the subconscious mind, the part of your brain that's not at the forefront, but it's the part that's sort of running everything, is almost be rewired in those moments. So I
So
don't know if that makes sense.
that's a very yeah, excellent, and I wanted him to understand that through hypnosis, there are people that go that are not hitting the ball the way they want to, or they're not performing at an optimal state, and they go and see
Yeah.
someone like Steve. He works on
Yeah.
them, and their subconscious takes over their conscious ability of sabotaging their true performance or whatever that is. And I want him to hear this because if he's going to write 100,000 words, not if, because he's writing 100,000 words, his state of consciousness allows the flow to happen where it's a lot better.
100%. Yeah. So Kenny, the thing is we all go in and out of hypnotic states all day long anyway. For me as a hypnotist to, you know, create the environment where you'll go there. That's my job. But when you're sitting and you're writing and you're totally focused on what you're doing, in essence, you're going into a hypnotic state. You're accessing the wisdom around you, right? It's almost like you're downloading. Do you ever feel that way? It's almost like you didn't, it came through you, like this wisdom. How did I even think of that? You
Like
ever
I
have that
mentioned, I
experience?
saw it on the plane. When he was on the plane, he was just going, and then
Yeah.
he'd think of spots. He'd go exactly where it's supposed to go in the story, and he'd add that line or two is missing, and so it's
Yeah. That's
free flow.
fabulous. Yeah. It's the
Uh,
flow. It's a flow state.
yes, it is. Even though Kenny does not need to hear this, I will say that you'll echo what I believe and what Kenny believes, which is the power of authorship. Can you show Kenny the three books you've done before
Yeah, sure. So
he's
Kenny, the first book I wrote is this one. It's called Unhypnosis and How to Wake Up, Start Over, and Create the Life You're Meant to Live. And I wrote that back in 2005, so 20 years ago. And you could see I've aged a little bit since then.
you can barely tell.
Yeah. But it's free your mind, reinvent your life. The whole idea is that we get stuck in our own thoughts and then we don't, we don't challenge ourselves to try something new, to do something new. And so this book is about breaking through the barriers to changing your life for the better. And so I was very proud of that one. All three of these hit #1 on Amazon as self-help
Yeah,
bestsellers.
and that really changed your speaking career and the amount of people that were.
That created my speaking career.
Yeah, right.
So I wrote that book and then I started speaking and got to, as you know, you start doing that stuff, you meet some amazing people and you travel to some really cool places. And it was wonderful. Then I wrote this one, Buddha in the Trenches. And the idea here was it's a timeless system for developing unshakable performance under pressure. So a lot of people in life are doing high stress, high pressure things, and and how can they maintain their serenity, their wisdom, their calmness in the face of difficult situations? And this is a book about that, is what do you do to keep yourself from being thrown off by the stress and challenges around you so that
And,
you can be maximally effective regardless of how much is going on around you.
and Steve gave me this
So
book probably about 10 years ago, if I recall.
yeah, yeah, probably. And so the idea, I don't know if you know, so the Buddha was sort of a spiritual teacher, a spiritual leader. And the book is not religious, but because the Buddha's, whole thing was um, how to end suffering, how to stay peaceful. And the idea of the Buddha in the trenches is like, you got somebody who's like completely at peace in the trenches, meaning like, in a war. How does this guy handle that situation? So that's Buddha in the trenches.
It's so much better title than Buddha with a wrench. I mean, just so
Yeah,
you
that's right. Buddha with a whip.
so that you get money, Kenny, if you help me find them in the 3 or 4 libraries we have, because he's got 2 books I couldn't find for the show because he gave them to me so long ago. That'll
Yeah.
teach me to start looking a month before the show.
Yeah, there you go. Now you're gonna have to pay him. And then the third one, it's called Bulletproof. Now, basically, this is the same book as Buddha in the Trenches, with just changed so that it's more accessible to people who might be put off by the Buddha reference. I wanted it to be, something that would be more mainstream. But again, I like the subtitle. What if everything that bugged you, that blocked you, or that brought you down didn't? How would life be if you get frustrated and you're able to just let it go?
Did you go to Secret Knock?
I've been to Secret Knock, yeah.
That's where I got the book then.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Pretty sure. I mean, I got
yeah,
it sometime when we were in California.
yeah.
So, Kenny, pretty cool, huh? Now you have access. He's going to potentially hypnotize you so you can get the book done by September because I really do want that book done.
No, if I hypnotize you, you're gonna have the book done by the end of July.
Why? You believe that?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
pretty cool, isn't
Can
he?
be done. I mean, Kenny, my process for writing is I write very fast. And I do the same thing. So I'll lay out the general gist of what I want to talk about. I know kind of the stories that I want to use to illustrate points. And then I'll make an outline so I know what's more or less what's going where. And then I'll put that aside and I'll kind of go into my, like, meditate, like go into a state of openness and in front of the computer and I'll just start boom, 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 just writing. And the best advice that anybody ever gave me, my friend Sasha said, she'd heard this somewhere. Don't read what you're writing while you're writing it. Just keep writing.
Right. That is great advice.
Yeah.
Well,
It,
before
it,
he leaves, I wanted him to see a photo of you when I think it was one of the first times we met, if I
yeah.
recall. This is,
Oh, look at that. There
yep.
we go.
And then the other one I want to show off just because it's pertinent is that you've done fairly well with your Amazon, and here they are. There they are,
Yeah. Yeah.
ready to purchase. And
Hmm.
I truly am excited to get my hands on these books again because I'm a different person than I was when I got those books, and I mean, way different. And so
Yeah.
it's going to hit me a lot bigger and better.
I find that too. I find that, when you go back and you reread something, you're bringing a whole new you to it. And that even happens when I reread my own stuff.
Right. Well, because
And
of the genius of what you wrote so long ago and it being so relevant as we keep getting bigger and better with our efficiency, our productivity,
yeah,
learning about how powerful we can be. these books kind of get lost because of dates, and they're not lost because of content. And so
Mhm.
I'm excited about you being the authorathon because you have reminded me of how powerful those books were back then and how relevant they are now. They're just such a great book. So
Well, thanks.
Don Quixote and Bulletproof and Buddha, not
Yeah.
with French, but in the trenches. I will read that, and then I like your first book,
Hypnosis,
Unhypnosis.
yeah.
Okay, that one I hadn't read before, so I'm excited to have my some reading improve. And my goal, by the way, Steve, and most people may think this is not possible, but I'm going on the air to say it is, to read 100 books in 100 days. And you don't have to finish a book though. The problem that people think is that I'm not trying to finish a book. I'm trying to glean information from an author, and that can be
Right.
it can be in 1 hour, it can be in 15 minutes, it can be 2 hours. Whatever I get from the book and I apply is better than me reading and not applying it.
I never even thought of that. That's actually quite interesting. You know, you're not putting an unreasonable goal on yourself, but you're still exposing yourself to a thing that you wouldn't expose yourself to if you thought, I've got to sit down, I've got to read this whole thing. Now, this is just,
And I have your book, and to revisit it and get that one gold nugget that I can apply to my life, boom.
yeah.
And in the authorathon, we all agree to support each other by not just buying
Mhm.
the book for the lowest price we can get the Kindle down to at 99 cents, but
Mhm.
to give it that shot. And that way you
Mhm.
can write a legitimate, integral review that says this book is a good book to buy because X, and
Yeah, that's
it can be
great.
that simple.
What I love about these books, and it's not just my books, but a book that speaks truth, is that when you go back and read it yourself, like Ken, I'm sure when you go back and read some of your own stuff, you find wisdom in ways that, maybe you would receive it from yourself more better than you would receive it from somebody else. Kenny, you should try that. Go back and read something in your own book. Or someday, if you're just feeling down, you're frustrated, you're, depressed or whatever, you pick up your own book and you just open up to a random page and, you might find the very answer to getting out of your funk. And the other funny thing that's happened to me is, you know how on Facebook they'll like post something like an old post and they'll put it up, and
Yeah,
I have a post come up and it's like, that's a really good quote. And then it's like, oh, I wrote that.
exactly. Well, the other thing I like is the books you pour yourself the most into. They you can go back to them and say, "Oh, I wish I'd added this," and you can add it. You can make a second edition. You can make a better
Yeah,
book. And
that's right.
so, my 60th book is in its fourth edition, and Kenny's tapping on my leg because he wants to give me a leg massage. All right, Kenny, you've made it very clear that you would like to exit, and your brain is full. Your
Yeah,
heart.
well, hey, Kenny, I'm so glad you stuck around as long as you did. That was really cool.
Well, he enjoyed. I'll tell you, it was only in the last minute I've gotten the Ken. You have a nice knee, Dr. Smiley. You have a great knee,
That's
and I want to point out how nice this knee is.
uh-huh.
I love you. I love you. Go have fun. Go
Good
write
knee.
that book. I know you're dying to write.
No, I need to get ready for Lucy.
Oh, that's right. He's going to Aunt Lisi's. That's right. Okay. Well, you have a good time. This is amazing. He loves his Aunt Lisi. I'm going to tell you that.
Nice.
She lives in
Is
northern.
that your sister?
No, Nellie's
Your
sister.
wife's sister?
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
So he gets to spend a day with his aunt who adores him, and vice versa. So
Nice.
that's why he was itching. He was like, "I."
And
All right.
she lives locally?
Yeah, we're in about 30 minutes from DC. She's on the other side of DC, about
Okay.
30 minutes. So about
Yeah, I
45.
think you told me where you live. Are you near Columbia or
And yeah, right. Ellicott City is right near Columbia.
Ellicott City? Yeah, that's
And
right.
then my studio, when you come on down for some new headshots and stuff, and a new cover for your fourth book, is
Oh,
at
yeah.
PWI Airport.
Oh, really?
It
Well,
is.
that makes it easy.
We thought about it a long time ago. 40 years ago, I got that doggone thing. I wish I'd known that I was going to rent it for $500,000. Bought it. Actually, it's more than that.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
right.
even know how much I've given them. 3,000 a month. That's a lot. That's a lot for 30 or 40 years.
Yeah,
Yes. So
totally.
I would like to take a deeper dive into those books you showed. One from a standpoint, I want you to not tell me what the book's about. I want you to tell me something our audience can do that's applicable from each of those books so that they have kind of the trifecta. Can we do that?
Sure. Yeah, we can do that. So what I'll do is, because as I said, the principles in Buddha in the Trenches and in Bulletproof are pretty much the same principles. Um, and of course, you write one book and then, like you said, you write the next book, and it adds to it, enhances what you got what you did the first time. So I might.
Steve, I would like to applaud you for changing the cover and making it relevant to completely different audiences, possibly. And you know, Kenny just did the simple thing of having a black and white cover and a color cover, and he liked the black and white one. I liked the color one, and they both sold dramatically more because it was a choice of which one to buy, not yes and no.
Oh,
So,
that's genius. I know that's very interesting. I should
so if you
probably do the
put,
same
yeah,
thing
if
with
you put
these.
both those books together on a
Yeah,
table, you're going to
yeah.
have some people that like the Buddha one because it resonates with the spirituality, and the other one from a standpoint of corporate. So I think
Great idea.
that's
Okay, that's what's going to happen in Nashville or wherever we end up. My vote is San Diego, though. I love San Diego.
oh, so do I. And by the way, Nashville is number 12 in the United States right now for tourism. San Diego is number two, I think. Big surprise for you. Chicago's number one.
Really?
Yeah, for if you type
Surprised.
best cities to visit for tourism, not to
I would
live.
have thought DC. DC has got,
DC's
so many.
number DC's 10.
Okay, well, it's in the top 10 then.
Yeah. And do you know how many cities there are in the United States? Because when you say, Nashville's number 12, how many is it beating? Do you know how many it is? I didn't know this.
Uh, well, what constitutes a city? How many people to
That's
be a?
what that's where I went, and when I went there, it became a rather large number. So let's just say I'm not going to tell you what constitutes a city, but
Okay.
we'll say that it at least has maybe a post office. How about that?
Oh, well, then there's probably 1,000.
Almost 2,000, 1,900.
Okay. You know which cities have the highest population?
Um, I, I think LA is one of them.
LA is number two. Number one is New York.
Yeah, and
Um,
and by the way, if you took all the people in the world, all 8 billion, and put them
yeah.
side by side standing, they could fit in LA. That's a weird one. It's true. It's Googleable. If you want to take the entire population and put it in a geographic area, the geographic area that would hold all of humanity would be LA.
Wow.
We're just throwing back like it's almost like we're teaching each other through trivia.
If you took everybody on the planet and you put them like, laid them all down nose to toes,
Uh-huh.
nothing would ever get done.
Nothing would ever get done. That almost reminds me that 54.67% of statistics are made up right over in the spot.
There we go. Exactly. I love it. I love it.
All right,
So
so
I'll talk a little bit about
yeah, I was going to say
the
just the applicability of whatever you want to go with.
yeah. Okay. So bulletproof, there's a core set of principles, and each of them in the book is designed to be dug in more deeply as you go through the five. But let's just talk about these five principles because they're at least immediately you could start thinking about them and executing them and using them. And they're really important if you're trying to be maximally effective and have inner peace at the same time during what other people might consider crisis, chaos, challenge, stress, annoyance, or whatever.
Mhm.
So, the first one is you gotta get it in your head that happiness is that's the what you're aspiring to is happiness. Your goal is happy. Your goal is not, getting the promotion or getting the girl or whatever the thing is. It's beginning to understand the unconditionality of happiness. Happiness is unconditional. So if you think I've got to meet this goal, I've got to achieve this thing, in order to feel happy, then you're automatically putting an extra step in the way. If you remove it, because this is interesting. I mean, I've suffered from depression and anxiety in my life, and I've definitely had to deal with those things. I know that happiness and unhappiness are unconditional. So I could be unhappy for no reason, or I could be happy for no reason, right? So if I could be happy or unhappy for no reason, then why am I putting so much effort into trying to solve the reason? So I always say, fix the mood before you fix the mess.
Hmm. Yeah.
You're having this whole thing around, you're like, I can't believe I got to do this and do that, and this person's doing this to me, and you're getting agitated. It's like, okay, stop, turn your attention within, look at yourself, and see what you can do to drop that, to let go of that, to make happiness itself a focus. Okay, I realize that I'm agitated. My goal is to come from a place of happiness, and so I need to put all that aside, fix the mood, get my mood to be a resourceful mood, and then I can go back and deal with the mess. It's like, you know, when you ever um, you have to go to the bathroom, but you're not thinking about the fact that you have to go to the bathroom, and everything's really agitating you. It's like, well, then you go to the bathroom, and you're like, ah, and then you come back out, and none of those things are as agitating as you thought they were. It's because your inner state is being affected, and that's true of mood. It's our mood, you know. So fix the mood before you fix the mess. Um, then the second principle, and let me you stop me anytime. Uh,
I want to say that William Paul Young was on my show a couple months ago, and he said something to the effect with different words, and they were, don't have expectations, because when you
mm,
have expectations, everything is blocking the gift that you just could receive without expectations.
Totally. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that it's like all these things that you're walking right past that could be blessings.
Right.
You're too busy looking for this one outcome. And why do you want that outcome? Because if I get that outcome, I could be happy. Well, guess what? You could be happy right now
Right.
without that, you know. So it's a funny thing we're all twisted up about. And um it's a hard lesson to learn because you have to keep on reminding yourself this thing that I think is so important to my well-being isn't.
That's why perfectionism is such a dangerous perception to have.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it's
attached.
true.
It's attached to too many things that they're blocking. They're just blocking your happiness or your end result of what you want.
Yeah. Yeah. So it takes courage to stop and sit. And that's a big part of this is that, and as we go into the other principles, you'll see that um, it's a courageous act
Mm-hmm.
to stop and allow yourself to just be with the moment. Because the first thing you're going to feel if you've got an unsatisfied desire and you've been trying to achieve it, um, and you're feeling, uh, incapable or you're feeling frustrated, and those feelings they're a sensation in your body. I mean, you really feel it, right?
Right.
And if all of a sudden you say, okay, I'm going to let go of having to achieve this thing, well, the first thing you're going to feel is irritation, frustration, defeat. It's not like you're going to like let it go and now you're happy. You're going to let it go because that's an act of courage and because you're willing to sit with the discomfort.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm willing to sit with the discomfort until I realize that I've created it myself,
Right.
right? And then eventually like, recalibrate. So, once you've like made that choice um, about happiness being the end goal, the first goal, really, uh, then the second principle I talk about, I call it clean up your act. And what that is learning to live your life with integrity, learning to live your life with responsibility and precision and impeccability, being impeccable, doing whatever you do to the best of your ability, taking responsibility for your own actions, showing up on time, being accountable. That if something happens, you own it. All that stuff, all that kind of like just developing yourself to be, I'm Jewish, we say he's a mensch, being a mensch, being, a
Good
good
guy.
person
Yeah.
that people could count on. And that takes practice too, because like nobody, say, oh, you don't have integrity. Well, at some point, everybody doesn't have integrity at some point, and
Yes.
everybody has integrity at some point. It's really just a question of tipping the scales toward being more and more integral.
Yeah, and that is actually two comments. One is Tim Ferriss's comment that success is related to the degree and amount of uncomfortable conversations you're willing to have with yourself, which means
Oh,
when you're,
that's
yeah, it's really deep. And then when we are never in constant integrity because life is happening, motion's happening. And when motion happens, you are completely correct in the course of integrity. And
yeah,
so
100%.
And so a fine thing to say, to be aware of, is that I am out of integrity in the moment. How do I get back into integrity?
And that's a huge learning lesson that I learned that through some personal development seminars I attended years and years ago, because if you're in of the belief that you either have integrity or you don't have integrity, then you're terrified of the possibility of somebody pointing out that you're out of integrity.
Right.
If you realize that you're in and out of integrity and somebody points it out, you're like, oh yeah, good point. Let me get back where I belong.
And you can actually sculpt the phrase that way. I'm out of integrity now. To get back in integrity, I'd like to say this, and then they receive it that way. So you're in.
Yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. Again, courage. It
Yeah.
takes courage to do all that. So okay, so we're saying number
But
one,
the reward on that, Steve, is maybe courage is what you're pulling into, but the reward is freedom and peace.
yeah, that's right. That is the reward. That's what the journey is leading to. It's leading to I'm no longer bound by all these things that I've allowed myself to be bound by. And now I could just sort of
And
wake up and regardless of the circumstances, I can choose the mindset that I'm gonna live with.
you were about to say number three. I just want to interject that part.
So number three is, and I want to find the exact words I used in here. I said, sharpen your focus. Sharpen your focus. So I've got a friend who is a photographer, and he does macro photography. He goes out in the woods and he finds slime molds
Yeah.
that are like almost microscopic, and he gets like these macro pictures of it, and then he publishes them, and they're beautiful. They're just incredible. The world is filled with beauty that sometimes you have to look deeply. You have to sharpen your focus to see, right? So things could seem to be a mess, but it might just be that you're looking in the wrong direction. And so sharpening your focus means gradually training your mind to be able to bring your attention into the moment.
Mhm.
Because, we get stuck in the past, we get stuck in the future, and we're not present in the moment. And, we get bored or frustrated. And, the only reason for boredom is lack of attention. If you're able to bring your mind to this moment and focus on this moment, I mean, look, there's so much to see, there's so much to appreciate.
Right.
But if you're just caught in your head, then there's nothing. So it's sharpen your focus, and that's where meditation comes in. Practices like meditation, mindfulness practices that train you to just bring your attention into the moment. And a good example of that, and something that everybody could try like now, is when you're washing your dishes. There's a aphorism from Thich Nhat Hanh, the famous Vietnamese Buddhist teacher. He says before he washes the dishes, he says washing this dish is like bathing a baby Buddha. The profane is sacred. All mind is Buddha mind. So that's a secular way of saying it. So a non-secular way is just to say, washing this dish is like bathing a cherished child, right? Everything is sacred. So you're washing your dishes with a sense of complete focus and complete devotion. And every dish you wash it carefully and you wash it gently and you wash it with reverence. And you would think, oh, it's going to take forever. But it actually takes less time because for some reason it's like you're shifting time. You just do these things and you break less dishes and you have more appreciation for even the most mundane things in life.
I have two interjections with this. This is so beautiful what you're saying. I saw these videos of different airline companies and how the bags came out. And not to bash any company, I'm not going to say any names, but I'll just say there's a company, let's say in Mexico, for instance, that's delivering, and they're taking the bags and they're just throwing them. And I mean, just throwing them. And they don't care if they land, if they get dirty. And then in China, there's this airline company where the bag comes down and they wipe the bag and they bless the bag and that goes to the next and they go. And it makes me even feel it. Do you feel it right now? Like that's.
Totally, totally.
And the other one is Steve Jobs with Apple. His dad taught him as an engineer the in the military attention to detail, but his dad taught him that the beauty inside the computer was more important than the outside because that's what he get to see. He was spending most of his time building a computer, make it gorgeous, and so like the
Mm.
calligraphy, how the letter is so precise and beautiful. That type of love and feel to that attention causes your whole world to be beautiful.
Years and years ago, I read those, the teachings of Don Juan, not the Don Juan lover, but Don Juan, the Carlos Castaneda books about the Yaqui Indian sorcerer who taught him about life, and he
Mhm.
talked about these two energies. He called the tonal and the nagual, and one of them is sort of like your spiritual essence, but the other one is like how you show up in the world.
Right.
That if you show it, like you said, am I taking care of myself? Am I making myself look good? Am I taking care of myself physically? Am I paying attention to the details of the things happening around me? And that's a vehicle for the spiritual. It's like your spirituality will improve, when you stop like being sloppy, make your bed in the morning.
Right.
Don't just like leave your life in disarray and expect that God is going to come along and, make it better for you.
Right. And this is kind of a feng shui segue. Nice with
Yeah.
feng shui segue. And so those are nice words to put together. But when we were at the Nashville event, the way you lay your books on a table is going to be the invitation for the person that would want to see what your
Hmm.
message is. If you just throw them on there, they see it, they leave it. But if there's a space there where there's order and there's also love, you're attracting. Kenny was attracted, I'm not kidding, at least 60 or 70 authors. They just couldn't stop. They couldn't leave. And it
Yeah.
was his energy, but it was the table's energy too. It was how it was laid out.
Well, we're going to talk about how I should lay out my table when we come to this next event.
You got it. You got it. All
All
right.
right.
Number four, right?
Uh, Two more principles you want to hear?
Yes, of course I do.
Okay, so the
But
next
I'm
one,
not just sitting here whistling Dixie. All
yeah,
right.
I know. So the next one is called lean into the pressure. We as individuals, the way we've been taught, certainly here in the Western world, and I think to some extent everybody, we run away from pain and toward pleasure, right? We don't like when things don't feel good.
Mm,
We don't want to put our feet to the flame, so to speak. And so what happens is that when we feel an unpleasant feeling, we experience an aversion to it. We feel fear. We try to run away from it, and often that's keeping us from seeing through to the other side of whatever it is that we have an aversion to. So the analogy I use, if you've ever been to Disney World and they in the evening at I think the Epcot area, they used to do this thing. They may still do it. There's a big fountain, and then there's these big giant water jets,
mhm,
and they shoot the water straight up, and it forms this misty wall. And then they project like Sorcerer's Apprentice or some kind of something onto the mist. So the mist becomes like a movie screen and there's loud music. And when I saw it, it was a scene from The Sorcerer's Apprentice where Mickey is being, pursued by the brooms and everything. And it's a very scary scene.
mm.
And little kids are crying, right? So you're watching this thing that is big and imposing and scary. And if you come to the recognition that it's all just light on particles of water, like if you were to walk towards it, and you could walk right through it to the other side.
Right.
It's insubstantial. It
Mm,
just looks really big and scary. It's like you're looking at a billboard and it's actually made up of little colored dots if you get close enough. But whatever the image is might have an impact on you. So lean in means, okay, this thing that I'm experiencing, that I'm looking at is causing these sensations in my body. And I could either be like, oh, then I better get out of here because I don't want to feel these feelings. Or you just turn your attention inward to those sensations. Oh, I'm noticing that I feel tension in my stomach. I feel some tightness in my throat. Ah, okay. I wonder how long that will last. And you start to become an observer of your own inner experience. So you're leaning in
mm.
to the experience versus running from it. And that's where wisdom develops. If you never let yourself feel it, if you're running from it, you don't develop wisdom. Oh, you're reacting, reacting, reacting. If you choose to be with it, you're responding. You're opening. You're basically dissecting the the light on the water droplets. You're dissecting it, and you're realizing what it really is. This is nothing to be afraid of.
Yes.
And that's how we do in hypnosis. That's how we do phobia cures. So I'll take somebody who's deathly afraid of snakes and who I've already hypnotized so I could put him into a hypnotic trance and say, when you wake up, you'll no longer be afraid of snakes. But the process by which I do it is really interesting. So I start out with, okay, I want you to picture a snake. And they're like, they're really, they're experiencing the fear in the moment. Okay, you're picturing the snake and you're feeling this fear. Okay, I want you to now turn your attention away from the snake and turn your attention toward the feeling of fear in your body. Regardless of what caused it, what is the sensation that you're feeling? So now you're leaning in. Oh, okay, I feel tension. I feel this. I feel that. Regardless of what caused it. Now you're not present to the snake, you're present to the feeling.
Hmm.
Now I want you to experience that feeling as if it were a bundle or a package or an entity taking up space inside of you. I want you to imagine that entity getting smaller and smaller and smaller until soon so small you could fit it in one hand. And then I want you to throw it away. And it's what's the word I'm looking for? It's metaphoric. It's a metaphor, but it's an act. So because it's a metaphor and it's an act, it works. So people will then wake up and they're no longer afraid of the thing anymore. Not just because they threw it away, but because they took their attention away from it and allowed themselves the luxury of actually feeling the feeling without running from the feeling.
I just thought of something funny that you say, now throw it away. And instead of snakes, now you're afraid of rubber bands. They were never going to see a
Yeah.
snake. Like once a year, they see a snake, but they see rubber bands in their office all the
All
time.
the time,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
But what's funny about that is that people are afraid of some weird things, man.
Yeah.
Uh, like, like I remember somebody at one of my shows, I'd say, "What are you afraid of?" This guy was afraid of elbows. Like if you held your elbow up to him, he'd freak out. So, which just goes to show you like how logical fear is.
Yes. Well, I have a David Corbin interjection here, which is
Oh, I always appreciated David Corbin interjection.
yes. Well, is illuminate the negative, and I think that's what he's
Yeah,
speaking of with
exactly,
what you're speaking of. Is that
exactly.
weakness is something if you embrace it, you actually conquer it.
Well, I'm proud to say that David and I think alike in a lot of ways, and we're from the same town.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah, we're both from Massapequa.
That's so cool. All
Yeah,
right,
yeah, he's
we're
good
we're
people.
we're, we're on to the big number five.
Number five, and this is an important one. Everything we've talked to up to this point presupposes that you've got a certain amount of energy, strength, inner strength, right? Because wisdom is an energy regime. It requires that you apply energy to shift your consciousness in this direction or that direction, that you're going to maintain your focus in one place. And if you've got a scattered mind, or if the thing that you're challenged by is so challenging that you just can't seem to get your head above water, what do you do? So I call this last step, I call it assemble your lifeboats, right? Sometimes you're drowning
Hmm.
and you can't just pretend that you're not. Sometimes you're overwhelmed by the circumstances of your life. And, if you don't have this fifth principle down, then what you're probably doing is you're probably dragging yourself under. Probably, I shouldn't feel this way. I know all these principles that Steve talked about. I understand that I should be able to like look at the situation in a neutral way, and I should be able to, make happiness more a priority and not worry about the circumstance and all these things. But I can't. And what's wrong with me? And then you're drowning, right? So we have to acknowledge the limitations of our own spirit in the moment, just like we talked about integrity, that integrity is a moment by moment thing, and so is internal energy and the capacity to respond appropriately to any situation. So what you do is you solve the problem in a number of possible ways. One of the most important ways is you develop a network of good friends, right? People who tell you the truth, who don't, just buy into your bull. So if you're having a fight with your wife, you don't want the person who's like, yeah, she is an idiot. You're not looking for somebody to support your unresourceful point of view. You're looking for somebody who could just sort of be present to what you're feeling. Oh, I could see that you're feeling really frustrated right now. And just create a safe space for you to have the feelings and to kind of work through them. So having the right network of people, and believe me, the vast majority of people in your life are not that person.
Hmm. Yeah.
Vast majority of people are going to, they're going to give you sympathy, but they're not necessarily going to give you empathy, or they're going to, kind of gossip with you about the thing that you're frustrated by. So you really need to find those special people who know how to give you space. And that's a really important part of it.
Go ahead and give the distinction between focus and this last one.
So focus is something that you developed from within on yourself. So you're learning to strengthen your own focus, right? You're learning how to, through meditation and how to bring your attention to a given point. Now, so my attention's out here and I want to learn to bring it here. But now my attention is out here and this thing is dragging me in. That's where the lifeboats come in. That's where it's like, I can't do this part myself right now. I
Okay.
can't meditate no matter what. I'm too
So
agitated.
this is an accountability partner, someone who's a stand for you, is not a yes person. They're
Right.
they're there to be integral of your best self.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Exactly.
I wanted to mention that during the pandemic, you've qualified several times as one of my top tier heart centered leaders, thought leaders, and I invited you to be part of the Dose of Hope. And the Dose of Hope, gosh, that's 5 years ago now. But I said, would you please share a TED Talk version of how you created who you are, how you created your purpose, and how you use that purpose to make good happen in the world, give hope to the world. And at that time, I needed a lot of hope. And you were one of the people that I chose. We had about 100 people do it. I just want to take a little segue and say, for those of you who are lacking hope, need hope, and just want to get to know this man more, this is a book called Dose of Hope. Again, dose being those four wonderful chemicals God gives us when we are feeling hope, and hope, hold on, pain ends. I just want to go in here and show you how big the book has gotten, Steve.
Oh
And
my goodness.
here you are, right
Yeah.
here,
2983.
2000, yeah, 2,982. And
Oh,
you know,
wow.
one of the people that really has enjoyed um and taken a big step in the right direction and applied a lot of the principles you're talking about is a woman that I'm going to introduce you to. Her name is Beth Robbins, and I'm going to show
Okay.
you because she did her book and she revitalized this entire conversation. So I'm going to connect you guys, but the power of connection. We wouldn't know each other if it wasn't for people that host events, and
Hmm.
I'm interested in taking the Dose of Hope and taking this show, the Dr. Smiley Show, and actually turning it into like a Keep Smiling event or an author event, but something where it's actually attracting heart-centered leaders. And I'm manifesting this live for the first time, very first time, that I want to do an event that brings together the people that I'd want to put together anyway.
Count me in.
You're in.
Yeah,
So
count me.
you've done so many great things. What's next for you? Are you thinking about a fourth book? What's the big plan for?
I just came through. I had about a year and a half where I just got steamrolled by a number of things. First of all, I didn't lose Woody that long ago. That was a few years ago, and as you just pointed out, the um, the article I wrote was how Woody gave me my smile back. And he was a really instrumental in helping. He was we're talking about lifeboats. He was my lifeboat. So, and then I lost him, and it was abrupt, and it was just shocking and painful, and that was really threw me off course. And then I had a situation with an ex-girlfriend, and that just became dramatic and again painful. So those were some of the circumstances. But on top of that, I was just like biochemically off. So it threw me into like about a year and a half depression. I just was, really had to work on that whole thing, find your happiness. That was like the first thing I had to do was leave everything else behind until I could find myself again. And so I didn't do any writing during that time, but it's been on my mind that when I came through that, which I have, um, that that would be something worth sharing, like what that journey looked like and how I came out the other side of it. And so there is possibly another book in me.
But there,
It's not something that
I
I'm
know there.
I'm
Well, I think this
yeah.
is, well, Steve, I think this is God's way of saying that no matter how much you got it together, there's more to learn, and there's also more to grow, and there's more to impact. Uh,
Always. Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's very vulnerable for you to share, but that's also a sign that you're growing, is that you could
Well,
share.
thanks. I appreciate that. Uh,
You're a wonderful
well,
friend, and I'm glad you got to meet Kenny at a more mature age than what he was when you were submitting your dose of hope. And
oh, I thought you meant when I'm more mature for me. I'm more mature.
I could tell his mind was whirling when you did those magic tricks. But
Yeah.
I look forward to connecting you to some people that we met in Nashville and us having this conversation how we create a better 2026 together because you and I don't see each other enough.
Well, we can make it happen. You're not that far away.
Not at
And
all.
I think I'm probably going to be, I've got some tentative plans for the winter now. So I'm going to spend 3 months in San Diego,
Oh, good.
and then I'm going to spend a month in Naples, Florida.
So it seems like there's a little bit of a climate attraction there for the
You
winter.
think? Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm done with winter. I don't know. I think I just hit a point and that I used to make fun of people because I'm up here in Burlington, Vermont, and we get a lot of snow and ice. And I just decided I don't need to participate in that anymore. I don't really ski anymore. I used to ski a lot.
Gotcha.
Um, and I love San Diego.
You,
And I've
you
got a
can always
friend who
water
loves,
ski. You can always
yeah,
water ski, Steve. It'll
water
be
ski. Yeah. And I've got a friend who loves Naples, so we're going to check that out. But if I, when the time comes to go to Naples, I think I'm going to drive my car down to Naples because it'll be good to have a car there. He comes from British Columbia, so he's not going to drive down.
yeah.
So if I drive down, I'll be passing by where you are. So we'll get
Oh,
together.
and we will not. It's not a get together. You're going to stay here. You got to.
Oh, better
Yeah,
still.
yeah. We got to host you, and we got to remind people why DC's in the top 10. So we got to host you.
There you go.
So how do people reach you? How can people connect and celebrate you?
Well, I've got a couple websites worth looking at. One of them is the site that draws people to me as a speaker and an author, and that's my name, just Steve Taubman. So Steve Taubman .com, SteveTaubman.com. And you learn a little bit about my sort of unique way of presenting, which includes the entertainment piece. There's always something in there to draw attention. And I think it's a pretty nice site. So stevetabman.com. And then in the last 2 years, I've developed a show I'm really proud of called Mind Magic. And it's still a vehicle for sharing wisdom, but it's a mind reading magic show like the old Kreskin show.
Hmm.
So, I do some predictions and thought reading and um, super memory and a bunch of interesting things. And that website for that show is mindmagic.guru, Guru. So either of those two will get you to, give you a sense of what I am doing, what I'm up to.
So you got rid of your big site. Don't visit this site.com.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's right. Don't visit the site. Just I wasn't getting enough traffic.
Well, we have five exit questions, rapid fire, just for those that want to be a little more like Steve or know how Steve thinks in his program to be a better person. So, starting off, what book changed your life, Steve?
Eckhart Tolle, Power of Now.
That's not a procrastination book, by the way, just so we're clear.
That's a good one, though. That's a great one.
What movie inspires you?
Shawshank Redemption.
Dude, this is synchronous. It's on my glass table. It's on my glass table. I picked three movies that I wanted to watch that I haven't seen in a while, and I've seen that 10 times. So I mean, it's not like
Yeah,
I'm,
yeah, it's always amazing.
yeah. What song gets you going?
The Climb, Miley Cyrus.
Okay. Who's your hero?
You. Uh, I that's a good question. There are a few people that come to mind. My father was one of my heroes. Um, I also uh, I have sort of a heroic sense of like Richard Gere, who's like a great actor, but also helps support the Dalai Lama and is, concerned about peace in the world and things like that. So that's somebody that I really respect and admire.
Part B of that, who would you want to meet that you haven't met?
Who would I want to meet that I haven't met? Um, Richard Gere. Um,
If Richard Gere said, "I'm not going to meet you unless the Dalai Lama is present, we all have dinner together in the trenches with Buddha," you'd be okay.
I'd be fine with that. I've actually met the Dalai Lama.
I was wondering because you didn't mention that. That was pretty funny. Okay, how was that? In
It was great. I gave him a copy of On Hypnosis.
you? That's so cool. That's so cool. And then the final question is, what quote do you live by?
Don't believe everything you think.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
I'm not going to think about that. Oh,
Yeah, we're that's a place we all go. It's like I have this thought and it's like, I'm not good enough or whatever. And then we believe it instead of saying, well, there's a thought. Does that thought really serve me? So don't believe everything you think. Just because you thought it doesn't make it true.
that is such a powerful way to end this dynamic show with the realization that everything we believe is a thought that we created for programming ourselves.
Beautifully said.
God
What a
bless.
pleasure being with you here, Ken. I really appreciate you having me on and introducing me to Kenny and just having a great conversation.
Yeah, and Kenny got a kick out of it. I mean, and I found out I have a knee. I mean, I didn't even know I had knees during these.
There you go. That's right.
He was like this, but it was only the last minute, so I could tell that it was some urgency. Maybe the bladder was filling up or something. But
Well, whatever it was subtle enough. He wasn't like, trying to make a nuisance of himself. That was
I don't
cool.
know.
And look, Ernie wants to say hi. Hey, Ernie, come.
Hey,
Come
Ernie,
here.
come here.
We'll just take him to him.
Hi, Ernie.
Hey, Ernie, look, it's Uncle Ken.
Are you the new Power of Five? Are you the accountability partner now?
He is my accountability partner. He's getting better. He's now 4 years old, and he's smart and wonderful.
You know
And but,
that,
but I need to take him out now. So
yeah. So he's going to tap on your knee pretty soon, right?
yeah, that's what that was.
By the way, thank you, Steve. You're just such a blessing, and I'm glad we could have this conversation today, especially after Kenny just had that amazing trip. So we have so many things to do in the future because of this great conversation.
Yeah, thanks, Ken. Have a great one. Bye, everybody.